Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to uncover the hidden mechanisms that drive survival in two of the world's most extreme, contrasting, and honestly, absolutely fascinating ecosystems. We're talking about the temperate deciduous forest and the neotropical rainforest. Here's how we're going to break this journey down. We'll start with the temperate cycle and the seasons of abundance, then we'll completely shift gears and dive into the rules of the rainforest, the masters of the wet jungle, and wrap it all up with the engine of life. Let's get right into it.
All right, part one, the temperate cycle. We're heading into the deciduous forest, a place completely defined by dramatic, constant, and sometimes literally deadly change.
So, when that freezing winter hits, these forests look completely dead, right? To the naked eye, it's just this cold, naked, silent landscape. But what's actually happening under the surface is a masterclass in survival. Those broadleaf trees, they're entering a deep, protective sleep. They shed all their leaves just to conserve whatever tiny bit of energy they have left hidden away in their trunks and roots. It is a harsh, unforgiving time of year.
And surviving this freeze demands some serious resilience. Take the European bison, for example. To endure those biting winds, they huddle together in tight herds of up to 50, and they radically shift their diet, literally scraping by on tree bark, moss, and fallen branches. Crazy, right? Meanwhile, you've got squirrels going into deep hibernation, only waking up for a quick burst of sunlight to dig up buried cedar seeds and acacia fruits. And for millions of birds, well, they just completely check out, migrating thousands of kilometers south because fleeing is literally their only option to stay alive. It's amazing how animals have to alter their entire lives in lockstep with the seasons. Think about bears for a second. In the spring, they're grazing on fresh grass and flowers. By summer, they're eating fleshy, ripening fruits. Come autumn, they're gorging on energy-heavy nuts, cherries, and acorns. And then winter hits, and they have absolutely no choice but to enter deep dormancy to survive the scarcity. Their whole existence is totally tied to the calendar. But hey, the freeze doesn't last forever. As the ice finally thaws, the ecosystem kicks into overdrive for part two, seasons of abundance. Get ready for the frantic feast. Spring in this forest is literally a race against time. The second temperatures and humidity spike, broadleaves unfold as fast as possible. They desperately need that massive surface area to maximize evaporation and catch sunlight. All the trees are frantically racing to grow, flower, and pump out fruit, hoarding as much energy as they possibly can before that deadly winter inevitably circles back around. What's super fascinating here is how everything is connected. I mean, even death feeds life. Rotting dead wood and, bison dung actually form the foundation for millions of insects. You have black woodpeckers hunting these xylophagus or wood-eating beetles right out of decaying logs, and millions more beetles are feasting on the leftover nutrients in the bison dung, which then feeds countless birds and reptiles. It's a perfect system. Nothing goes to waste. Then, summer fades, and the trees cut off food to their leaves. The green chlorophyll vanishes, and the canopy explodes in these stunning shades of vermilion and purple. As those leaves fall, they make the forest floor incredibly fertile, which causes the mouse population to absolutely skyrocket. And predators like the tawny owl, they take full advantage, gorging on all those mice for one last massive feast before the freeze sets in again. Okay, so we've seen how brutal and seasonal that cycle is. Now, let's pull a complete 180. We're going to contrast this harsh, sleeping world with an alien ecosystem that literally never sleeps, the neotropical rainforest of the Americas. Moving into part three, we're looking at the rules of the rainforest. This environment plays by a totally different, highly specific rulebook just to exist. First up, the magic number 1700. To even be called a rainforest, this place needs an astonishing minimum of 1,700 to 2,000 millimeters of rainfall every single year. Water is the undisputed, constant foundation of the entire ecosystem. Next, 27. The temperature here is insanely controlled. It hovers constantly between 27 and 30 degrees Celsius. That's a tiny 5-degree margin of error all year round. Absolutely zero freezing winters to worry about. And finally, 80. The humidity has to constantly sit right around 80%. So you get this perpetually wet, super dense, intensely competitive biome where life is just stuck in permanent hyperdrive. Which brings us perfectly to part four, the masters of the wet jungle. In this loud, humid, chaotic place, animals aren't adapting to seasons like a bison or a bear. No,
They are adapting to intense, nonstop competition.
Survival here is all about highly specific micro-narratives. Take the northern tamandua. It has this huge sticky tongue and can eat up to 9,000 ants a day. But its survival hack? It actively rations how much it eats from each colony so it doesn't accidentally destroy its own food supply. Genius. Then you've got spider monkeys using sheer intelligence and memory to map out exact locations of ripe fruit across miles of dense canopy. And the crab-eating raccoon? It repeatedly washes its prey, using its super-sensitive paws to feel for sharp thorns or dangerous bones before taking a bite. Because this place is so fiercely competitive, every single inch of this watery jungle is claimed. You've got the spectacled caiman violently snapping its jaws in the water just to say, hey, this is my territory. You have massive, 300-kilogram South American tapirs using sensitive snouts to carefully pick out only the softest leaves. Bare-throated tiger herons are stabbing crabs with harpoon-like beaks, while basilisk lizards use mind-boggling speed to sprint right across the water and dodge hungry raccoons.
And hey, the competition isn't just on the ground, it's completely vertical. The canopy is so thick that a meager 2% of sunlight actually makes it to the forest floor. That pushes a lot of life high up into the trees. Birds like the Montezuma oropendola are practically forced to build their intricate nests on the highest, most isolated branches possible, just to keep their chicks away from the crowded, dangerous chaos down below. All right, for our final act, Part 5, the engine of life. Let's zoom out a bit and appreciate the staggering scale of biodiversity packed into this ecosystem, which stretches all the way from Mexico down to Brazil. You know, you might think jaguars or monkeys rule the jungle, but let's be real, insects are the undisputed kings here. In Central America alone, just a single hectare of forest can host over 6,000 different species of insects. They are the massive, unseen engine keeping the entire cycle of growth and decay spinning.
Remember that constant 80% humidity I mentioned? Well, it literally blurs the line between water and land. It allows wild creatures like the hourglass tree frog to lay its eggs absolutely anywhere, on a leaf hanging over a puddle, or just straight onto the damp ground. Sure, a lot of those eggs get eaten by snakes, but that's just how the hyper-efficient, eternal food web of the wet jungle works. Okay, prepare to have your mind blown by this fact. Despite covering less than 6% of the Earth's surface, tropical rainforests hold an estimated 90% of global terrestrial biodiversity. Take a second to process that. The vast, vast majority of all life on the land is packed into these dense, steaming evergreen belts. It's almost unbelievable.
So, putting these two totally different worlds side by side, one powerful theme emerges: an absolute, undeniable will to survive. Whether it's braving a frozen, silent winter through deep dormancy in the temperate zones, or fighting for your life in a torrential, humid downpour in the rainforest, nature always finds a highly specialized way to endure. But there is a much darker parallel here, too. Much of that temperate biome across North America, Europe, and Asia, it's already been tragically cleared away by human development. Which brings us to a pretty heavy question. Knowing that temperate forests have already been drastically reduced by our own hands, we really have to stop and ask ourselves, since the neotropical rainforests safeguard our planet's greatest, and in many cases still undiscovered, biodiversity, what exactly is going to happen to the global engine of life if these irreplaceable havens disappear too? It's a huge question, and definitely something we all need to be thinking about. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.